Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
All right. Welcome on into the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio. Also available on your Spreaker app and also downloadable on iTunes. My name is Johnny Malloris. I'm the baseball guy. Right now, Bobbo apparently took a really bad loss with his baseball team tonight, so he's not going to be able to make it in. But we do have Keith Grieve with us, who, not only does he work in a metal shop, but pretty fantastic dude. So we got him with us today. How you doing today, Keith?
I'm fantastic. Pressed into emergency duty.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're a fantastic guy. I wish you would get involved with the show more because, we got to keep Bob on track. He's more than just a one-man job to keep, contained and, keeping from saying something he's probably going to regret at some point.
I think he's okay with keeping himself on track. It's making him behave.
Yeah. He's kind of. I feel like he belongs in the NFL. He's just one of those guys. He should sign a deal with the Bengals or the Browns. Absolutely a problem child. But someone's willing to take him, and for some reason we did. But you know who we are lucky to have tonight? I know you write a lot about football, Keith, but we have our guy Jim Sarantias. He's coming on, the Fantasy Greek. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. We're going to talk about some of the unrestricted free agents. Talk about some of the other random picks that are coming up and stuff. So we got a lot of football talk happening. And we're also, before that, we're going to bring in our buddy from Hot Cup of Comedy veteran, the comedian James Bailey. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about WrestleMania. I don't know how you feel about wrestling. I was a huge wrestling fan when I was growing up, but apparently this is kind of still a big deal. What do you think, Keith? Are you still into wrestling?
You know what? I was one of those idiots that never got into wrestling.
Never,
dude. It wasn't my thing. I mean, I went to a few WrestleMania parties back in the day, but it was one of those things that I just never got into it. And it's funny because one of my oldest and closest and dearest friends from high school actually works for them doing online stuff.
What?
So I don't want to give any names because I don't know if he wants me talking about it, but.
Oh, good golly. Well, we got James Bailey coming on. That guy sounds like a pro. I mean, James knows what he's talking about. He's more of a comedian than he is a wrestling aficionado, but he's pretty good. I got to tell you. We got to talk about Macho Man a little bit. He's an Illinois guy like me, and, Downers Grove, that's not very far from where I grew up. So, obviously, I'm a big, Randy, a big Macho Man Randy Savage fan. So, we're going to get into that. And again, another Chicago guy. We're bringing in Cody Vancura or Gaston Flanell. I don't know. Is that how we say his new name? He's going to bring on the band Pleasure Horse. How do you feel about Pleasure Horse, Keith?
I don't feel comfortable here anymore.
And I'm surprised because I believe it's a group of 4 guys, and for some reason they're Pleasure Horse. It's a singular horse. I don't know if they're if that's all one bodysuit costume thing that they got to fit into, or where this whole Pleasure Horse thing came from, but I feel like we need to get to the bottom of that.
I have this human caterpillar image in my head now, and it's all your fault.
Oh, my God, no.
Centipede. It's just bad.
Human centipede.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Awful.
I said caterpillar.
Awful thing.
I meant centipede.
No one needs to have that ever in their brain. Right now, I'm sure my girlfriend's somewhere shaking her head because that's just incredibly disgusting. But so what we're going to do, moving on from that point, we're going to move right on to Malloris's Moleskins. We got a bunch of different random stories I'm going to pull out of my notebook here. That's kind of happened over the last week or so since we last talked, and kind of one of the things that I thought was rather interesting. Major League Baseball apparently is going to put all of the games. Okay, so game 162 for every team. Okay, all 30 teams, 15 games, one day, all beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to switch it for everybody. I'm a Central Standard Time guy, but I'm going to bring it to Eastern. We got to do it at 3 p.m. Eastern. October 4th. It's all going to happen at once, so you're not going to have that opportunity to wait to find out, if you have that borderline game, if you're going to have the play-in game, are you going to rest your starter, your ace? Are you going to save him for the next round? How's it all going to work out? And I think, this might add a little bit more intrigue. I mean, do you think that might add any extra drama?
I think more intrigue than drama. It seems a little gimmicky to me.
Well, that's what they do. I mean, baseball's been trying so hard just to keep the game interesting and, making all these changes. I actually think this might be something where it does, end up, affecting some of these games, at least in terms of who you're going to throw. When it comes down to either Felix Hernandez or Clayton Kershaw, are you going to hang on to that guy, or are you going to throw your ace out there just to make sure that you advance?
I don't see teams really altering their pitching staff, though. I mean,
they do already, though. You know what I mean? They'll wait to find out. If a team is going to end up playing before them, and they know they're going to have to face them in the next round, or if they're the tiebreaker, you'll end up waiting to find out what happens in that game before you figure out, who you're going to start in that late game. Because if they end up losing, you don't have to throw your ace. You can go out there and throw a spot starter, rather than having Clayton Kershaw, have to pitch that night just so you can get to the playoff game. And then so that way you can advance the next round. But you won't have your ace to play the next day to advance in the next round.
Yeah, I get it. I do. It seems like honestly,
you don't seem very entertained.
No, it seems like needless tinkering to me. It really does. It is. Look at this. Oh, everyone's going to start the same day. Haha, you're all screwed.
Yes,
it is what it is.
Precisely.
My whole point on this is that if you don't like it, take care of your business in the other 5 months of the season.
Yeah.
That's just
absolutely. And that kind of brings, we're going to get to that a little bit later, but talking about the whole, Chris Bryant thing, talking about 12 days, okay? This guy's missing 2 weeks of baseball, not even. And it's not even 12 games, it's 12 days. And so he's going to end up, missing that time rather than have him play then, those extra 2 weeks, people would rather see him do that than help them for a full season when he's 29 years old and in his prime. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of the most frustrating thing. But we'll get around to that a little bit later. But it kind of bounce around to baseball again. Talking about the major league, number one selling jerseys in Major League Baseball. Who would you say out of the New York Yankees is at the top of that list?
Of who's there? Who's still on the team?
Yeah, who's still on the team right now? Whose jersey are people going to be wearing opening day?
Without cheating and looking at the link you sent me?
I'm sure you went straight to the Mets, so I don't want to ask you about that.
No, for the Yankees, I would say, I'm trying to think who's the biggest name that's still left there.
Are you kidding me?
With Jeter gone, I know it's A-Rod, but everybody hates him.
Yeah,
I know A-Rod's the biggest.
People still buy his jersey, man. But you got Tanaka up there right now.
Yeah, probably either Tanaka or Sabathia would be my guess.
Yeah. You have A-Rod's number one, then you have Tanaka, then you have Ellsbury. But kind of going through the list, Oakland, they have the new acquisition of Ben Zobrist. He's like their number one right now. And then kind of moving on to the Mets. Did you see Dendecker on this list? I mean, does that not surprise you to see Matt Dendecker rocking it on the top selling jerseys for the New York Mets?
The way I look at it is that Mets fans are so dedicated; they probably have all the other ones. So it's just he's the new guy. So we gotta buy his.
Good Lord! And okay, so kind of keeping it on the jerseys. What would you say in New York is your number one selling jersey overall? Say throwback jersey number one. Who are you going to shoot for? Because we had this thing from SI.com. Apparently put together their list of number one selling jerseys per state.
So does it have to be a New York team, or you mean just you live in New York and you're going to buy a jersey? Which one would you get?
Got to be New York team, man. New York State. New York State.
Number one baseball jersey.
Picking? Any jersey ever.
Any jersey ever. Baseball though.
No, it doesn't have to be baseball.
Oh, sport in general.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. In New York, I'd have to say it's probably a Yankee. And I'm going to say either if it's a throwback, if it can be any era, Jesus. It's like throwing a... Jesus Christ. I'll guess Joe DiMaggio or Mickey Mantle.
No, you got it, man. You got Mickey there.
It's Mantle.
So you got Mickey there.
It's Mantle. Hope we have a caller.
Oh, we have a caller. Look at that.
James Bailey is on the phone.
look at that. You know what? We didn't even need to finish that segment up because we got our guy right here. I'm telling you, we have hot cup of comedy veteran and comedian. I mean, this guy rocks. We have James Bailey on the line, and we're going to talk a little bit about the world of wrestling here. We have WrestleMania coming up, 31, kind of a big deal, I guess. You know, quite a few matches there on the bill. Involving some of our old school favorites. If Keith actually cared about his life and wanted to be a wrestling fan, when he was growing up, he would have known names like Sting and The Undertaker and Triple H. And these are all guys that are going to be wrestling this weekend. James Bailey, how you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good, Johnny.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Good to be on the show.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So tell me, man, what out of all these matches? I mean, there's a lot of crazy things going on in terms of ladder matches. What is your number one match out of this entire card?
There are two matches that are the must-watch matches on this card. It is Sting versus Triple H. It's the first time Sting will be performing in a WWE ring in his career.
Really?
On the biggest stage. He was in WCW for 15 years, and once WCW went out of business in 2001, he never went to WWE. He went to the lower brand companies, and then
really
he finally signed last summer with them, and they gave him a WrestleMania match. Oh, running out of money, and just the timing. He's 56 years old, so it's almost over for him, and it's like he's never been to the top of the stage at WrestleMania, so they're letting him have a match against Triple H, which I think is a great opponent to hold him in a match with.
Absolutely. And isn't this Triple H's first time back in the ring in a while?
He was in a match last year, and he's like the CEO right now. He's the authority bad guy in the storyline.
He's the heel.
So he's a heel. So this is his first match back, I think, since SummerSlam of last year or something like that. It's been a long time since he's been in the ring too. So you have that match to look very forward to.
Yeah, and now kind of like what is like the one main thing that you're waiting for? Because I know there's always the babes. I mean, we can go back to the Sable days, but I don't even think Keith, you probably at least had to know who Sable was, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She was the chick.
Oh yeah. Playboy cover and all. Oh yeah. You said Sable, and what was your question again?
No, I was kind of shooting at Keith's way. I mean, are you aware who Sable is, Keith?
She's a chick.
Yeah,
right?
she's a chick, and she was the women's champion at the time, and now she's married to Brock Lesnar.
She's married to Brock Lesnar?
She's married to Brock Lesnar.
Get out of here! And now doesn't he have a match? He has a match this weekend too, right?
He has a big match. He's in the main event picture against a guy named Roman Reigns, who he's a rookie who they're pushing in the company is just pushing this guy. I mean, they're giving him all the high matches, and they're making him win all the time, and they're making him look strong, and they're making Brock Lesnar look very strong, but Brock Lesnar, like, he's just been great since he came back and wrestled.
I think that's great. You know what I mean? Especially considering that I know he had that they were pretty concerned about his life, his welfare for a short while there because of I don't know if it was a blood condition or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's great to see him actually, still be able to do something, try to end up doing the NFL. That didn't, pan out for him. But so why do you think they're pushing Roman Reigns right now? Because the one thing that kind of bothers me, and I think took a lot of people out of wrestling, was the fact that you don't really have those characters like you used to, like the Undertaker. That's my guy. I was a big Undertaker fan, big Doink the Clown guy. For myself, So
Doink the Clown and the Undertaker. I think it is because it's a young audience watching wrestling right now, more than the old hardcore audience. And the company, I think, wants to put a fresh, new, young face in the position and push him really hard, make him have a little of a dark look, but have him be a baby face. And they just want to push this guy because they think he has all the goods and all that stuff. Like, he's great in the ring. he just needs to work on some things like his character development and his microphone skills and, shooting. The best, like, Roman Reigns is great in the ring. He's very poor at shooting promos and talking on the microphone. But they're pushing him because they want to believe in this guy. They want to put the title on him now and then see where it goes. And if that doesn't work, they'll figure something else out. But they believe, the company, WWE, believes that this is the guy. We're going to put the title on him sooner or later, and we're going to put him in the big main event at WrestleMania. And, And
no, that's interesting, especially considering the fact that, they're expecting him to learn on the fly, and I think that's kind of one of the hardest things to do, especially in that aspect where you're not used to, performing and speaking in front of people, where at least at a point where he hasn't really developed those skills yet. And maybe he hasn't, been taught properly. Obviously, I mean, when you look at the young days with Hulk Hogan and all of them, their first, interviews were just horrendous. But no, that's great, man. So, what else are we looking for here in this WrestleMania?
I'm looking forward to the third match that I'm looking very forward to is The Undertaker, like you said, your boy, The Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. Now, Bray Wyatt is a new guy, but his character is this New Orleans cult leader who has a long beard, wears a fedora, has a weird T-shirt, and he says like weird, dark things about people, about how like they're puppets and all that stuff. I'm the guy who controls the puppets, and I'm the Dark Master. And his promos for WrestleMania against The Undertaker are great because he's saying that there's going to be a new dead man this Sunday at WrestleMania, which means he's going to bring a fight to The Undertaker, which you could see The Undertaker lose consecutive years in WrestleMania history. So
yeah, because he never lost, The Undertaker, right, at WrestleMania up until last year. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
he never lost. He never lost until he lost to Brock Lesnar, and this Bray Wyatt character is being pushed as well as Roman Reigns, but it makes sense. It just because he's dark, and it's like you put two dark characters against each other. One is going to fade out in a year or so, and the other one's the future of the company. So, like, Bray Wyatt right now is just doing great on the microphone. He's excellent on the microphone. In the ring, excellent in the ring. Character personality, it's just great.
That's awesome. And so now tell me a little bit, man. What are your thoughts? I know you're a big Ultimate Warrior guy, but Macho Man, Randy Savage. What do you got on him, man? Do you love the Macho Man?
I love the Macho Man. I actually read an article in the Tribune today that the Macho Man Randy Savage actually graduated from high school in Downers Grove North.
How about that, right?
I know. That surprised me.
Lord and Master of the Ring.
Oh, yeah, man. I love it. Keith's always got some great drops for us. Well, you got any other Randy Savage drops for us, man?
I just found Randy Savage.
The cream of the crop. The cream of the crop. That's my favorite one. He's talking to Gene Okerlund on the microphone, and he just keeps on telling him that he's the cream of the crop, and he keeps on pulling out half and half cups out of his pocket. Like he has 5 half and half cups out of his pocket, and every time when he says cream of the crop, he pulls out another half and half cup and breaks it. Like, it's so great.
Oh, that's hilarious, dude.
Oh, it's great.
I want to get my hands on the Snake Man.
Ooh.
I found a Randy Savage soundboard, by the way. So.
Oh, that's great.
Thank baby Jesus.
I am the Lord and Master of the Ring.
You gotta find the creamer. You gotta find the creamer break, man.
The cream of the crop.
And so I was going through. I'm looking for a toy the other day. For my little guy. He just turned 5 not too long ago. Now I came across a Goldust figurine. Goldust is still wrestling. That's a thing still, apparently. Yeah,
Goldust is still wrestling. That's a thing.
Yeah, he's still so creepy. He hasn't lost like any of his creepitude over the years. He's only gotten creepier, I think, at this point. So
Goldust is just really creepy.
How about it, man? So what are you up to tonight?
Gonna go do some comedy at the old Ashbury Coffee House, my old sling.
That's excellent. Yeah, that place rocks. Right there on Archer Avenue and Willow Springs Road. Out in Willow Springs, Illinois. No, it's a great place. But no, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on, James.
Oh, no problem. I can come. I can be on next week, and we can talk about WrestleMania when it happens. When it's all over. So
you got it, man. We'll wrap it up with you next week for sure. And, and now you're on Instagram and on Twitter. And on, Facebook, you're James Bailey, but everywhere else, you're Lobster Man, correct?
I'm Lobster Man, correct.
Lobster Man. Okay, tell us a little bit about Lobster Man real quick here, James.
Lobster Man is, I do weird songs at the end of my comedy set. And Lobster Man is the song at the end that I do after I'm done doing comedy.
Can we get a little taste of Lobster Man right now?
Okay, I'll try it. I'm a lobster man. I have lobster hands. I'm a lobster man. I just live in the sun. Yeah, that's awesome. What I have.
And the clicking that people hear is him making lobster hands with his hands.
Yeah. I do a hand motion while I do that clicking noise.
Yeah, you're the best, man. So everybody, check James out right now. He's at the Ashbury Coffee House in Willow Springs doing stand-up tonight. And he's pretty much there every Thursday night, and he'll be there randomly with Hot Cup of Comedy. Again, James Bailey, veteran comedian. You can find him at Lobster Man on Instagram, on Twitter, or James Bailey on Facebook. And thank you so much for coming on the show, James.
Oh, no problem. I'll be happy to be on again. So
you got it, man. We'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week.
All right, be good. All right, well, there he is. There's James Bailey, the best man in the world. That's a Lobster Man. And so what we're going to do right now, we're going to cut the break, come back. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about baseball, going down with some of these injuries, maybe touch on some of the postseason odds. And we have to touch on this Chris Bryant thing. I got to get your input on this, Keith. Kind of just tell me where you feel, are the 2 weeks, are those 12 days important enough to just, completely erase an entire season when he's 29 years old and in his prime. So come back, listen to us at the Johnny Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio and your Spreaker apps.
Melting me down to a puddle on the floor. Your lips gave me a hunger. It's all I want is more. Stay close and breathe with me now. Hold on to the night. Sleep till 3. We don't need the sterile daylight. Dirty, dirty love. Yes, a dirty, dirty love. Dirty, dirty love. Yes, a dirty, dirty love. And I don't wanna be clean. Screaming out like a frantic prayer. Tell me what you feel. Let it
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, la, ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, la, ooh, now I know you're an enigma. Ooh, la, yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle, I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. I never know nobody like you. Now I know you're an enigma. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're an enigma. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're an enigma. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
All right, we're back into the Johnny Bobbo show because that's what we do here. We're on Late Night Sports Radio, also available on your speaker apps, downloadable on iTunes. You can follow us at the Johnny Bobbo Show on Facebook, otherwise at Johnny Bobbo on Twitter and at LN Sports Radio. And I also do some writing for 87 Sports Fans. And we have the boss, man. We had the boss of 87 Sports Fans, Keith Grieve, with us. He's filling in for Bobbo today because apparently Bob took one off the chin tonight with his baseball club. Kind of got a whooping, and so he just couldn't handle coming on. But Keith is kept it together. His computer's falling apart, on him, but you still made it out for us here tonight, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good, man. We'll have that conversation later with your wife and just explain to her how important this awful radio show is and how, we need to take care of you and get you some good equipment in there.
Oh, well, duh.
I think that'll go over really well.
That's my only argument. Duh.
Duh.
You want to spend how much on a computer? Duh. Just try that at home, folks. Just look at your significant other and when you're trying to spend money and just go duh over and over again. You'll either end up divorced or you'll win. I guarantee.
Right. Yeah. No. And I mean, really, the selling point to the duh is like the shoulder shrug, like the and the look on the face. You know what I mean? Like just glance off to the side. You gotta pucker up those lips and just close your eyes halfway and go.
Do I have to explain it to you? Really?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No. And then everybody feels stupid, and then they're like, "Oh well, sorry about that. We'll just drop $1 billion on a new computer for you." But yeah. So buying computers to talking baseball. That's what we do here. Great transition. And we touched on it a little bit earlier before we had our awesome guy James Bailey on about the whole Chris Bryant thing right now. So baseball's coming up pretty soon here, about to start off, and the Cubs aren't going to have the bleachers ready in time. So that's a little something that they're waiting on. But another thing they're going to make people wait on is Chris Bryant. And, I'm not going to blame him. Right now, Scott Boras is causing a big fuss, as he should for his client, as one of the number one agents, in all of sports, primarily baseball. His whole issue right now is that the Chicago Cubs are going to keep Chris Bryant down in the minors for an extra 2 weeks, okay, from the beginning of the baseball season. So basically 12 days. And what that means is that with those 12 days, those, less than 2 weeks that he's not going to be with the major league club, they gain a full year of him playing baseball for them at the age of 29, when he's going to be in his prime. And what that means is that all happens because of when his clock is started. And what that means is that, there's service time involved. And so once the player hits 6 full years in the majors, the accumulated time, I should say, of 6 years, and basically 172 days. Okay, what that comes down to is they become a free agent. Okay, so what that would free him up, and if it comes down to the final games of the years, and if that's a make or break, those 12 days where he's not playing with the Cubs, I mean, there's a big problem. Do you really want to push a team, I should say, into that situation where you're forcing yourself when you're not ready into the postseason, just because everybody's excited? And that's, it's fine to be excited. The Cubs are finally doing things and spending the money, everything that, people have been waiting for. They've just now decided to stop losing, intentionally. And that's all because, they wanted those number one draft picks. That's how they got Chris Bryant. And so, just to say that, to bring him up for those extra 12 days, does that really matter? When you're talking about a full year, when he's just reaching his prime and everything, hopefully around that organization is all starting to come together as it has already?
I think it's pointless and clueless to be worried about what happens when he's 29, because who knows what the hell the Cubs are going to be by then. This is ridiculous to me.
That's the whole point, though. You're gonna blow, though. Just 2 weeks. A whole year for 2 weeks.
Right. Exactly. I kind of ride the fence on this because in baseball, 12 days doesn't mean anything. It's a 162 game season, so it doesn't. It's not going to make or break the Cubs. But if he's the best player, why not just get him in the lineup? I don't understand. It makes no sense. The motivation to worry about when he's 29 years old. Who the hell knows what the hell's going to happen by the time he's 29 years old? You're better off getting him in there.
Right, and that's absolutely true. And kind of Theo's point when he ended up defending himself, to the comments that Scott Boras has made, where he's basically trying to shame the team, by saying that, kind of your point, where, just you're keeping down one of the best players in the game, potentially, okay, to save that year on the back end. But, in Scott's defense, he's thinking about, that's 1 year sooner his player can hit free agency. And then on Theo's behalf, he basically admitted, they've never given a player their debut on opening day. It's always been, at some point they were worked up through the system. There's a process, and that's something that, the Cubs organization, since, Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer had taken over, was that, there is a system and a way of doing things. And that was kind of something that they've been going upon. And so, they're always thinking, they look at things, quote unquote, through two lenses. So they're thinking about the major league team at the same time they're thinking about the, their minor league system. So altogether, they're really looking at, the entire organization, okay? And what works out best for the organization. And this is kind of one of those things where, again, who cares about what happens at 29? But you know what? Who cares what happens in the first, 2 weeks of the season? That's something where, you're willing to risk 2 weeks at the beginning of the season for, a year where he would potentially, be in his prime and being able to help a team where, they've done a really good job of at least building up the minor league system. They still need to work on some pitching, but they've collected a number of, of pitching prospects just through, waiver claims and basically projects where, other teams gave up on these guys. They hope there's something they can do to fix them. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it regardless, you got to call this guy up after the 2 weeks. You can't call him up now. I mean, any gambler will tell you that, that's a bad move.
Yeah, again, it's baseball. It's a 162-game season. So 12 days, what was that, 10 games at most? 10 games tops. You're not going to make or break the season in 12 games. In fact, you know what? I'm going on MLB.com right now, and I'm going to try to see what the standings look like last year after 12 games. Okay? Can you bear with me here?
Oh, absolutely. And so, and that's the whole thing is, like, okay, so Milwaukee, they got off to a hot start last year. Ended up kind of rolling with it for a while and then ended up, losing at the very, tail end of the year. That was just, the team eventually just fell apart. They were pushing too hard that entire time. And, maybe they would have done better in the playoffs, but I mean, they were a team that was exhausted. I mean, and that's something where if you bring up Chris Bryant now just for, like I said, the 12 games, that's just pushing him, pushing the team where that they might not necessarily be ready at this moment, to get into the postseason. And so all you're doing is pushing all these tired people and just wearing them down, and extending their season when it's like, you know what? Just give it a break, wait to 2 weeks. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I mean, in 2016, you're almost certainly looking at a postseason team, at least in terms of, they've added enough free agents, now, and they're infusing all the younger talent. And, and Brian's part of that. And so when he comes up in 2 weeks, hopefully everything will pan out in 2016, but 2015, let's take it easy.
12 games into the season on average. Not everybody had 12 games, but some teams had 11. The Cubs were already 5 games back last season.
See?
So
what does it matter?
What it doesn't. You can erase a 5-game deficit over the other 150 games, obviously, but
no kidding.
Why would you take a risk on starting out in a hole if you didn't have to? I don't know. The purist in me says, put your best team on the field. Stop worrying about the freaking gimmicks.
It's not gimmicks. It's business. That's the thing.
Do you understand? But it's by the time
it's a gimmick to call him up now. I mean, yeah, sure, it's to win, but I mean, a lot of it's just to get people out there to to pay attention.
He could blow out a body part by the time he's 29. Campaigning for banking on the future is stupid. Play for now, win now.
But it's not banking on it though. It's just like sacrificing 2 weeks for.
You're gonna keep if you really believe he's the best player at his position, you're gonna keep him in the minors for 12 days so that you can get a full year out of him when he's 29.
Hell yeah.
Well, if he's a full free agent, it doesn't happen until the end of the year anyway. So what's the point?
Well, you still got that extra year of him, man. What is his prime? It's a higher bargaining chip. If if the team's doing that bad at that point, you can still end up dealing them, and at least hey, it's a guy in his prime at 29. Yeah, he's gonna be a free agent, but hey, you can at least get something for him.
How about you just put a winning product on the field, and everything else will take care of itself?
Man. I love winning products and talking about winning products. Going on to Major League Baseball postseason odds. Now, who would you say, Keith, is kind of one of the teams that you're looking at right now to actually contend in the postseason and at least make it to the World Series, or who's one of those contenders? Are you looking at Boston? Because right now, the top of the American League East odds, we have Boston at 55.8% and Tampa Bay. For some insane reason at 53.8%. Toronto down at 28.3, the Yankees at 23.9, and Baltimore, man. I have them on the top of my power rankings, man. I think they're a good ball club. They got them at 19.3%. And so then you move on to Detroit, who's 49.4, and the Angels at 67.3. Those are some of the top teams. So between the Angels, the Tigers right now, and the Red Sox, do you think, which one of those teams stands out to you, or is there another one out there that you think might be a little underrated at this point by the odds?
Read those teams back to me again. There was a lot.
We have the Boston Red Sox, the Detroit Tigers, the Los Angeles Angels, and then basically following up in second place in all those categories, the Mariners, the Indians, and the Tampa Bay Rays.
The Mariners would be a nice story. I don't know if that's going to happen. Tampa Bay, it's not Joe Madden's Tampa Bay Rays anymore, so don't forget that, folks. Gosh. My gut, something that right in my gut tells me to not sleep on the Blue Jays.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. No, I'm really big on the Blue Jays, actually.
Do we all forget about the Royals, too?
Royals are gone. The Royals are gone. They're out of everybody's brains, I think, at this point. But I think kind of one of the more interesting things, speaking of the Royals, let's just move it on to the NL real quick. Cincinnati, I feel like they might be able to be one of those teams that's kind of like the Royals, where they might come out of nowhere. They're running a little bit more and they're just kind of hitting the ball and getting on base. A high BABIP team, putting the ball in play, and things just tend to happen rather than walking or striking out. But the Red Sox, I'm kind of with you on that. I think Detroit, they might be a team that might fall back a little bit. You know what I mean? You have Cleveland that made a couple moves. They were still pretty quiet, but I feel like they've made enough progressions. The White Sox are giving them a hard time, but Seattle, that's something that kind of intrigues me a little bit. Is kind of knowing, what's going to happen with Nelson Cruz now. Okay, so Nelson Cruz led the league in the major leagues in home runs last year. He's moving to Safeco Park, which really isn't a right-handed hitter friendly park. And so I'm not necessarily sure that that's going to translate for them. I mean, it's great because they have, a great slew of protection all the way around the guy. Especially when you're looking at guys like, they have pretty good platoon between Seth Smith and Justin Reggiano. But then you have, Robinson Cano, who, has Cruz right behind him. And then you have Kyle Seager, they gave the $100 million deal to, where he was basically one of their main contributors last year, Seager, along with Cano. And so adding that bat like Cruz, you would hope that would help, so you can at least kind of pack him in with, a couple other guys, that can hit around him. And so, I think that'll probably help Seattle a little bit. In particular, the fact they have such a great pitching staff. But like I said, I'm not sure that Cruz's bat's going to translate. But, it's one of those things, that Seattle's one of those teams, and same thing with Toronto. Just really feel like, people might kind of, maybe a little bit too high on Seattle and a little bit too low on Toronto, because Toronto, sure, they lost Marcus Stroman. That's going to be a big issue for them. And so they still do, though, have quite a few options. I mean, hell, they had Johan Santana now. So, I mean, who knows what happens with that? They signed Randy Wolf, by the way, 38 years old. What the hell is that guy still doing playing baseball, Keith?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, and so just basically looking for some depth. You know what I mean? They have R.A. Dickey. They have Mark Burley kind of topping off the rotation. A bunch of younger studs coming up through the system here. We'll see if they move Alex Sanchez to the starting rotation, even though I feel like they might keep him as a closer. That's kind of been the one thing that everybody's been watching, during spring training. But they were a team where they added, a couple all-stars, in terms of adding Russell Martin. They added Josh Donaldson, got rid of my guy. I can't stand Brett Laurie. Just like super hyper guy, actually might have a chance to break out since he got moved to Oakland for Donaldson. Just because he'll be off the turf. Maybe he'll be able to stay healthy a little bit more. But no, they absolutely added some other pieces around Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. And so, I really like that Toronto team. And I feel like, everybody was so high on them before, where it was kind of like, I think now all the buzz has kind of finally died down around them, and they might be able to, be that team to take that next step.
Well, to get back to the Mariners, because everyone's going to hear your argument about the Rangers and be like, well, how the hell could Keith not be that high on him? And I don't believe you can just plug and play talent like that. And who's the manager up there? McClendon? Is it Lloyd McClendon?
Lloyd, yeah, former Detroit guy. He left their squad. Was it last year? I think he went to Seattle.
Yeah. And Seattle was right there fighting for a spot, and Cruz could probably be a bat that puts him over the top, but he's 34 years old. Should have all the roids out of his system by now. So,
yeah. Well, here's one of the other things too. I got to think about the West. It's always been relatively tight, for the most part. But the one thing that that I'm kind of just not agreeing with everybody. Everybody loves the Angels. I'm just not a really big fan of what they've done. You need to think, obviously they lost, Josh Hamilton. They figured they were going to lose him for a little bit with the shoulder deal, but now he's going to be gone, for an extended period of time. Who knows when he comes back? Cole Calhoun, can he stay healthy? Obviously, I mean, great stud. Nobody expected him to be a one hitter, not even himself, but he ended up being a great, table setter for everybody. But scored 90 runs, and I think it was just it was underneath 500 at bats, which is incredibly impressive. But I'm just not sure that he's going to be able to stay healthy and be able to to continue to tribute the way he has at this point, basically. And we'll see what kind of changes Mike Trout thinks he's going to make. He wants to cut down his strikeouts, wants to steal a couple more bases, and focus more on contact. I think he kind of just won the MVP by default last year after not having earned it, all the other years. So, it's just going to be really interesting. I'm not sure that, Matt Joyce and CJ Cron, or Crone are really going to be able to, fill the shoes of a Josh Hamilton, even though they didn't really do much for him. I just don't feel like that lineup is really set. And plus, they have all these question marks right now, and that starting rotation between, Garrett Richards, is he going to be able to come back, and be healthy? They lost Tyler Skaggs for the year with Tommy John. There's just a lot of problems there right now, and they just lost recently Corey Rasmus, for 6 to 8 weeks with core muscle surgery. So, yeah, I'm just not really sold in LA, and I'm not really sold in Oakland either. So I really feel like this might be, if any chance at all, for Seattle, this would probably be it. So, but now moving on to the NL, what do you think about your Mets? Where are your Mets sitting right now?
Well, the injuries are starting to mount, which
a little bit
sounds like it's like the Mets fans' creed. It's not our fault we were injured. But,
yeah. And you think about it because you're finally getting Matt Harvey back, and now you go and you lose Zach Wheeler, and Bartolo Colon is starting opening day. What the hell happened? Nobody knows.
No, you start Colon so that you can get Harvey for your home opener, because it's important to win the home opener.
Of course, that I'm telling you, that is Terry Collins in a nutshell, right there. Just stupid pitching move after stupid pitching move. That's what he does.
Yeah, it's just, you look at the Mets, and like I said it last week, if everything goes right, they could be in the 80 to 85 win range, and that in the National League will have you fighting for a wild card. If everything goes like we think it's going to go, they'll win 75 games, and if everything goes horrifically bad, then they're in the 65 to 70 win range, and you're talking about a long season.
Yeah, but I mean, are you really even sold on that offense though? I mean, we talked a little bit about it last year, but looks like Kadyr's off to a hot start, huh?
I don't put any stock in spring training stats. If Kadir can provide a consistent bat in the corner outfield, great. Lagares, needs to take that next step offensively. He's got the defense. He's got the wheels. They were batting him 9th the other day in spring training. I just don't get that. He's the fastest guy on the team. Granderson needs to, like the second half of the year. Granderson kind of, like I said last week, realized he wasn't in Yankee Stadium anymore and can't keep jacking for the seats. So the question marks that I have on this team are Wilmer Flores at shortstop and the bullpen. I mean, there's still no tried and true closer. The bridge from even without Wheeler, you still have Harvey, DeGrom. G has pitched well this spring. Yes, I know it's spring, but he's pitched well. You still have arms in that rotation, that could, make a difference. Miguel Montero is supposedly going to end up in the pen, guaranteed now. If Colon gives you a 500 Sid Fernandez season, that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what happens after the sixth inning. That's a giant question mark. And you can't tell me you have any faith in Bobby Parnell if you're a Mets fan, because even when he's healthy, he's underwhelming. And the bridge to there is just full of crap right now anyway. Unproven crap.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, Washington, basically, they have running away with it at 78.4%. The Mets, believe it or not, 36.8%. They're right up there, and they're actually ahead of Miami. I think Miami's, again, they're going to be one of those those other underdog teams where I feel like they kind of finally started to put things together, at least, spending a little bit of money, keeping guys like Yelich and Stanton. So, I feel like Miami's on their way up, but then, you're looking at what St. Louis and the Cubs, they have them basically in the Central 1 and 2 at 61.5 and 43.1%. I don't know. Is St. Louis going to keep it up? I'm just not sure that, they did enough to solidify that starting rotation after dealing so many pieces out of it last year.
They always find a way. And by the way, I said Miguel Montero. I meant Rafael Montero. I got my Monteros mixed up before.
Don't ever do that again.
I know. I'm a big jerk. But what the hell was I saying now? Oh, about the Cardinals. They're as long as they have the veteran presence. And you know what? I hate to say it, kids, but it's time to start thinking about what you do if you're a Cardinals fan after Yadier Molina is done catching. Because he adds so much to that team on the field behind the plate that even if he ends up being a first baseman at the end of his career, he's 31 years old. 31 years old last year. You gotta losing him behind the plate is a significant weakness and a step down, unless you somehow find somebody exactly like him, which it's not easy to replace.
Impossible.
A catcher like him.
He's got so many generations that taught him how to do what he was doing before it. Like within his family, they all have rings. Him and his other two brothers. But real quick, I mean, just what he does framing wise is so huge to the game, because I think it's the last 6 years in a row. The average velocity has increased from every pitch, and so that's cutting down the reaction time for just a hitter to learn when to start their swing. And it's only going to be that much more difficult for a 5-year-old umpire behind the dish, calling that, where he's saying, yeah, I called it when across the plate. Okay, well, I'm sure you did, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even catch that stop line, and so to expect them to do that, that's where I think these framing metrics and stuff really start to come into play, and that's where they really matter. And that's what Yadier Molina's great at, and that's going to be hard to replace, like you said. But you know what's really going to be hard to replace? All the time we just wasted listening to the Johnny Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio. And you can call us in at 585-633-7487. Follow us on Twitter at Ellen Sports Radio and also at the Johnny Bobbo.
Maybe I
If I was a snake and you were a mouse, would you run from me? Should it stay forever apart? Would you make me free? I don't really care if you love me. Hold my heart at last. I don't really care if you need me. I should leave you fast. If I was a snake, I would be so wise. Never let you in. Would my life be terribly nice? Would my poison kill? I don't really care if you love me. Hold my heart at last. I don't really care if you need me. I should leave you fast. I should leave you I don't really care if you love me. Hold my heart at last. I don't really care if you need me. I should leave you fast. I should leave you fast, 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 fast. I should leave you fast.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Ready? 1. You will do this 4 times with the left, 4 with the right, then 8 times with both, then repeat.
Welcome on into the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio on your Spreaker app and downloadable on iTunes. And, you know, one of the guys you can find on iTunes that works with Late Night Sports Radio here, our guy, Jim Sarentius. He rocks. He is the Fantasy Greek, thefantasygreek.com, and also at the Fantasy Greek on Twitter. Jim, how you feeling tonight?
You know, John, I'm doing my best to feel strong and feel really good about myself. You know, because it's been just a quiet week in the NFL, let me tell you. Unless we want to talk about the, let's see, the Vikings signing an offensive lineman from the Polish league. Do we really want to talk about that?
I hear the talent coming out of the Polish league is phenomenal.
Oh, maybe I mispronounced it. Maybe it's Polish. I don't know.
Yes, possibly. Oh, that's great. No, I'm telling you, man. There we go. I know a guy that can play the accordion. We can have him come on the show if you want. Do you want me to bring that guy on, Keith?
No, it's all right. It's all right. This is too riveting. We don't have time for another act like that.
Give Keith Grieve an inch and he takes a mile. See what he just did? Unbelievable.
Were you listening earlier when I found the Randy Macho Man Savage soundboard?
I did not, and I'm glad I wasn't.
Well,
So-
I was spending some quiet time with my wife, who I generally don't get the chance to spend time with. So that's what I was doing, boys.
you work like
and
a
did you
horse.
not just take a trip? You took a trip recently out to spring training. Is that what I saw?
I did. I made the stop over there in Mesa and took in a Cubs game with the wifey, and the starters look good. They played well against the Padres, and then when they put in the the second string, so to speak, it didn't look so good. So
How did that facility look though? I hear that place out in Mesa is like Chicago West. It's amazing.
it's pretty phenomenal. They try to sort of make it look a little bit like Wrigley. I found it very cozy. People were nice. It's strange to be at a ballpark that's not intended to be for 40,000 people. And
Oh, I can
'cause
only
it reminds you of like a minor league team, that they're in the facility for a minor league team. Just because it doesn't hold that many people, and yet everyone's there hanging out. It's beautiful weather. It was snowing here in Chicago. It was 80 degrees there. What more could you ask for?
Right, how about it? And now, speaking about what people can ask for, I mean, looking at the NFL free agency, who would you say, was asking for the most and actually got what they were looking for?
In free agency.
Oh yeah, free agency, any kind of these moves. I know you ended up on the fantasygreek.com. You went through your free agency list, basically your top winners out of all of that, and obviously the Eagles are going to be on there because we've talked about that in the last couple of weeks between adding Sam Bradford and adding on DeMarco Murray and kind of just piecing that whole thing together where it might pan out, and if it doesn't pan out, then you're probably going to see Chip Kelly back in the back in college football relatively soon. But who would you say who was the top guy that ended up, the top team, I should say, because this is a pretty good list. You have, the Jets defense is on here. You got Russell Wilson, some individual players. Who would you say, is number one on all these teams, out of all these guys?
Well, as indicated, it would absolutely have to be Aaron Rodgers from the Packers. With the Packers re-signing wide receiver Randall Cobb, they pretty much assure Rodgers his best set of wide receivers, along with Devontae Adams. Cobb's coming off a 91 reception, 1,287-yard season with 12 TDs, which is pretty fantastic. It does a lot of things besides keep the Packers uber competitive for fantasy football. In my view, is Rodgers is the number 2 quarterback in fantasy football to draft. Randall Cobb remains sort of that low wide receiver 1, high wide receiver 2 for fantasy purposes, and the fact that the Packers kept Ryan Beluga just sort of solidifies that offensive line for Aaron Rodgers, which you always want to do. I mean, you want to protect your greatest asset, and there's no Packer fan anymore that can possibly say that Aaron Rodgers is not their greatest asset. He is their greatest asset, and as we saw just 2 seasons ago, without him, they are a shell of themselves. So,
Right.
I like Aaron Rodgers as the number 1 guy or the number 1 winner in free agency after all is said and done. Besides that, we got to tip our hats to Ted Thompson, who's the Packers writer for the FantasyGreek.com. Jim Widener, as he would put it, I mean they're a team that draft and develops. And when it comes to free agency, they would prefer to sign their own before signing a free agent from some other team. It continues that philosophy, and it's been a winning formula for those guys.
Oh, it certainly has been, and that's kind of interesting. How you talk about keeping your own guys and keeping some of those veterans around. One of the things that I think they kind of lost, once Peyton Manning left, you have number 6 on your list, Andrew Luck and the Colts. Looking at all the veterans that they've added to that team over the offseason really tells you that they feel that they're really close with that whole, they've built around Chuck Pagano and Andrew Luck, much the way they did, with Herm Edwards, and Peyton Manning. And so do you feel like they added the right veterans by adding a guy like Andre Johnson, adding the, Frank Gore, and then, they went up and down the line with, adding an extra safety. They added Trent Cole, same thing with Kendall Langford, and added another guard. So, they really ended up putting a lot of money, at least smart money, into some, pretty interesting and very specific roles. How do you think that's all going to pan out for Andrew Luck?
Well, it should do him well. Last year, he was one of the more struck quarterbacks. I mean, he I think the Colts only gave up maybe roughly 30 sacks, but he got hit about 120 times. And he did that without a real starting running back.
Right.
And he did it really without Reggie Wayne, who, it seems that he has reached the end of his career. So now with the addition of Frank Gore, who's familiar with the offense, who hopefully still has a year or two in him with the way the 49ers sort of conserved him the last couple of seasons, and Andre Johnson, who's got at least another 2 years under the belt and certainly looks to have a little bit more juice than Reggie Wayne. There are just two more weapons and two more reasons for defenses to give T.Y. Hilton some room, to give their tight ends, Dwayne Allen, and what's the name of the other tight end for the Colts, guys? Help a brother out.
That's your department.
Listen to the two of you. Oh, well.
Catch me off guard.
Keith is a guy, man.
Yeah, he's
your
the
football
guy.
expert.
Yeah, but I guess we can't rely on him all the time like we do.
You're a big jerk face.
But anyway,
Kobe Fleener.
Cody, what?
Kobe Fleener.
Kobe Fleener. There we go. There you go.
Dear
Pass
God.
the test.
Yes.
So
The Fleens.
So
Don't do that ever again.
It's just one more thing, and what it all boils down to is, can they beat the Patriots? And if they can beat the Patriots, they should be the team representing the AFC in the Super Bowl in 2015. That having been said, they still have some moves to make on defense, and more importantly on their offensive line. They need to recognize that it is truly important to protect their greatest asset, which is clearly Andrew Luck, a player that put this team on his shoulder last season and carried them all the way to the AFC Championship game. They need to protect him, and that would be the next big move for them, either in free agency, but more than likely in the NFL draft.
Absolutely. And now, would you say that probably one of the biggest moves, we were talking about all the trades that have been made over the last, couple months here, where, it's just been pretty interesting in terms of, players moving around. But I have to say, Jimmy Graham going to Seattle really puts them in a good spot, with Marshawn Lynch, bringing him back in. You have Russell Wilson at number 2 on your list here with the Seattle Seahawks. What are their odds of, Pete Carroll, kind of still finding a way to keep his defense together? Obviously, with having losing his defensive coordinator, do you feel like Seattle now is still in a position where they might not skip a beat, or do you think they might drop back a little bit?
No, they definitely look like a team that won't skip a beat. This was a team that, but for an error in judgment, was the Super Bowl champions of the 2014 season. I think even a Patriots fan would have to agree with that statement. So if there's one thing that the addition of Jimmy Graham is going to do, is going to give their offense a little bit more of that oomph that they could have used in the Super Bowl. So rather than have a 1-point game or two, whatever I forget what the final score was, but that touchdown would have won them the game. They should have been ahead 2 touchdowns at least, had they had Graham on the field with them. Suddenly Russell Wilson would have Marshawn Lynch, Doug Baldwin, Jimmy Graham, Javon Kearse, Paul Richardson could well be one of the jump out or breakthrough second-year players this coming season, as long as he remains healthy. So there's a lot of good reasons to like Russell Wilson as sort of that second winner in free agency. They just gave him more tools and more things to open up the passing game, as well as his own rush attempts. So I like Wilson right now in fantasy as a borderline QB1, and he might even be able to do better than that, depending how they run their offense next season.
Yeah, that's something. And now, with, everything is kind of, just, I'm telling you, the game, there's just a lot of changes coming. like I said, in terms of the player movement, and now even some more player movement. They're talking about possibly moving the 2017 Pro Bowl, okay, to Brazil, okay, and this is something where Brazil obviously has had the World Cup and didn't necessarily handle that all too well, but it kind of panned out for them. But now it turns out, football, they had a couple games in England every year. They're trying to expand the game globally, and now, moving it from Hawaii, I believe last year it was elsewhere, but, they're talking about possibly moving it back there. But Brazil, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that would actually get more players interested in actually playing in the Pro Bowl? I mean, obviously, if Gronkowski's, not competing for a Super Bowl championship, he'd definitely be there dancing somewhere, right?
Well, that's the first I've heard of that. Pro Bowl to Brazil sounds like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
How about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is an American sport. It's not a South American sport. I think the NFL would be making a massive mistake. Brazil does not sound like the place where I want to send 100 millionaires to walk around in what is a place that it would present its own security risks that would be separate and distinct, I think, from the United States. I also think it would break with the tradition of Hawaii, which is what the players really enjoy because they like going there on vacation for a week.
Right.
And in fact, if they want to change it up, well, I'm sure Florida would love to have them. California would love to have them. Hey, why don't we do it in LA?
Right. And
and
speaking of that, obviously with Stan Kroenke right now, he's talking about moving the St. Louis Rams out there. He has a rather elaborate scheme in place right now, where it's basically, it would be a stadium that would be able to hold two home teams with identical sets of home locker rooms, owner suites, front offices, all that stuff. It would be identical on both sides. And it would also include, he's going in with a couple of people in the entertainment industry where they would be able to build up this entire area that would be, basically a Disneyland of entertainment for adults, right? And there's that. And then apparently San Diego and Oakland, they're looking to move right now as well to Carson, California. Who and if any do you think are these teams actually going to end up leaving? I mean, from what I understand at the moment, it's basically wait and see because both the St. Louis Rams, the San Diego Chargers, and also the Oakland Raiders are all still trying to work something out within their hometowns at the moment.
I would say it's a long shot for two teams to relocate to Los Angeles, and here's the reason why. The one thing that the NFL does not need is to anger, or if you'd like to use the words, piss off, either the Oakland Raiders fan base or the San Diego Chargers fan base after what has been a very, very rough PR 2014 season. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, what they do want to do is put pressure on the local governments in San Diego and Oakland to do certain things to provide the best venues for their teams in order to do what? Make money.
You got it.
So unless they really can't do that, and that's always possible because of there's so many local governments that are just in financial straits, many of them due to overfunded pensions based on systems of accounting that make absolutely no financial sense. That's the only way that it moves to LA. What I see LA being a better place for is a place for two new franchises. That to me would make more sense.
Expanding, huh?
What's that?
Expansion, huh?
Why not? They've already done it, and it took a couple years for the expanded team. Well, actually, not a couple years because I think the Jacksonville Jaguars started off as a very good team with the players that they picked up, but the Texans took a little bit of time. Panthers, I believe, did start hot, And then there was one other expansion team, but I'm trying to think who it was. Well, I can't remember, but the point being that it's happened before, it can happen again, and why not?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And again, it's something where they, a lot of people within the NFL that are on the committees that are, the whole planning committee about moving, a team to LA. They all feel like, it has to be a 2-team situation that's either moving there or expanding to that area. Just knowing that, honestly, I think it's going to be tough. There was a reason why, those other teams had left. LA, and that was a lot because it's hard. We all know the LA fans, especially in baseball, Dodgers games. Everybody's showing up last minute. Just kind of taking their time getting to the ball game. I'm not sure that it would be that much different. And considering this just the hit that the NFL has taken just from obviously there in LA it's warm weather, but people are more comfortable staying at home, drinking with friends, watching at the bar, keeping track of their fantasy teams, and not so much concerned on actually making it out to the game. And so I think they're trying to find all sorts of different ways to keep these teams, keep the fans involved at least with different handheld devices and in-game features when you're actually at the stadium. But no, I just think that's a rough move. And what do you think, honestly? Like what has the fantasy football impact been on the NFL?
Oh, it's been outstanding, and I think anyone to criticize it is just either misled or is trying to sort of promote their own agenda. Like coaches seem to think fantasy football is a pretty big joke, but the reality is it's what's driving their sport right now. I mean, it's a vicarious way of living through your favorite players or players you pick up, and you're not just a fan of your local team anymore. You're a fan of numerous teams. Yep. And if you do it long enough, you're not even a fan of your local team anymore. You're a fan of the team that makes you say, this is who I want to put my allegiance to. So fantasy sports in general has made watching sports more interesting and more fun. And it allows you to, when your team is done for the season, and that tends to be a majority of us, you can still keep on living on for several weeks after the regular season's over.
Yep, and so now I know we have the draft, NFL draft on April 30th. When are people starting to get things together? When should they start thinking about their fantasy football team?
Wow, that's a great question. In my approach is July. That's when we come out with our NFL draft guide. That's when people should be purchasing those sorts of things. And if you purchase it from us, besides getting a free subscription to our website for the private portion of our site, the subscriber only portion of our site, outside of all the free stuff we provide, you get access to online updates that are every week or two, depending on how things are what things are happening in the NFL, what players their rankings need to go up, which ones need to go down. That's when you should be thinking about fantasy football come July. Before then, it's just too early.
How about it, right? And that's a great thing, though. You are able to keep up on all that stuff with all the content that you throw up on the fantasygreek.com. I'm telling you. I just like where I'm telling you. One of my favorite parts is when there's a transaction. Like we had Dwayne Bowe, right? He ended up signing with Cleveland. It's a horrible idea, but I love it because you got your spin right there underneath the transaction. So no matter who the fan is, at least you got a little bit of insight in how it directly affects your club.
Dwayne Bowe is a great example of something happening in the offseason that his ranking could get affected as we get closer to the season. Because right now, you sort of look at him and say, wow, he's on the Browns. That doesn't sound like a very good situation. But coming from the Chiefs, it's a better situation. Here he was on the Chiefs with a quarterback that can't even throw for more than 4,000 yards per season, a veteran quarterback. Right. And now at least he gets on a team with a guy like Josh McCown that more than likely is going to have to air out the ball from time to time. And as long as he can get Dwayne Bowe to 70 receptions, he's a player that can get you 1,000 yards and 6 to 8 TDs. If you can't get him to 70 receptions, then he'll have another disappointing season. But you sort of have to like the opportunity, I guess.
See, and that's why we have you on the show, is for things like that, and things that anybody can find for free at thefantasygreek.com.
And I appreciate that, but for the listeners out there, do not overdraft him, meaning he might be a wide receiver 3, but you're more than likely going to be able to get him as a reserve. That's the way I would play it. If I had to, if he's sitting there in front of me and I'm trying to decide whether to take him, I'm not so sure I'd want him as my third wide receiver, but as a reserve, that's where I would consider, okay, this might be a good time to take him if there's nobody better out there.
And we have ample time to cover this over the next, couple of months here, as we gear people up and kind of teach them how to draft their team, how to draft their ball club, coming into this next season here. But right before we wrap up here with Jim Sarantias from the fantasygreek.com, on April 30th, okay, at 6 to 11, we have a little special something that the Fantasy Greek has thrown together. Why don't you explain that to me a little bit?
Absolutely. To all our listeners out there on April 30th from 6 to 11, it's the NFL draft. And basically, you should be joining myself, Keith Gree from Late Night Sports Radio, Johnny Malouris from Late Night Sports Radio, because we're going to be podcasting live as part of our NFL draft watch to benefit WITS Chicago at the Cubby Bear Chicago, located directly across the street from Wrigley Field. If you're in the area, come on out. It's a great event. It'll be benefiting, as I mentioned, local charity WITS, which is working in the schools. They're an outfit that promotes literacy and a love of learning in the Chicago public schools for elementary students through their volunteers. The cost is $50. It's going to cover food, a donation, and we're going to have a bunch of stuff there. We're going to be raffling away, including sports memorabilia and gift certificates. All you got to do is show up. We've got some more information that we'll be sharing with everybody as we get a little bit closer. But the short of it, Johnny, April 30th, 6 to 11 p.m., get with the Greek, get with Late Night Sports Radio, get with you, Johnny Malouris.
No, you got it. Anybody can get with us. But if you want to get with our guy right here, Jim Sarantias, you can find him on Twitter at the Fantasy Greek. Go to his website. Keep up with all that stuff during the offseason here at thefantasygreek.com. Jim, thank you so much for joining us. And when we come back here from break, we might talk to our little buddy Cody, because Cody has music and we like to play it and we like to talk about it. So you listen to the Johnny Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio.
Down next to mine, you're so fine, baby, you're too fine. After he goes to bed, remember what we said. We gonna do this right, right. This is how it's always supposed to be. I need you endlessly. We gonna go all night.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
All right, we're coming on back to the Johnny Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio on your Spreaker app, and download us on iTunes. And right now, this is Johnny Malores. We have Keith Grieve working in metal shop and, helping us out a little bit while Bobbo is gone, because apparently Bobbo took one off the chin tonight, and we got our guy Cody in here. Cody, what do you know about taking stuff off the chin?
Hey, man, are you talking about, sex stuff on the chin?
No.
He just doesn't know.
Bob. Yeah, Bob's team took a beat down tonight, and
Bob got beat up. What a loser.
See, I love it when Bob's not here. You pick on him like I do, and no, it's great because I don't know.
Johnny, that's
when he's not
because
here.
you're the star of the show, dude. Bob is he's riding your coattails when you're the real star.
That's Bob.
Yep.
That's Bob.
That's what he does. He likes to cry about stuff. And that's fine, because that's why he's the Bobbo in the Johnny Bobbo Show. And so, but we do love him. He's so ghoulishly tall. Like, it's amazing. Like, because
he's ugly, too, dude. He is ugly.
Jesus. That selfie you guys took together, though, in the mirror, that was amazing.
Okay.
Wait, you didn't see that promo picture, Cody?
No, I didn't see it. Wait, was that when I had my man bun?
Yeah, you had your man bun for sure. You were showing it off.
I'm
pretty sure that was the whole purpose of taking the picture.
Yeah.
So are you still rocking the man bun? I see you wearing hats all the time these days.
No, I had a nervous breakdown on my birthday and I cut it off.
What's up with the man bun? Why is it an appealing thing? Keith, would you ever have a man bun?
Not on purpose.
That's great. Yeah. So Cody, tell us a little something about Pleasure Horse. Pretty awesome band name. No, pretty awesome band name. How did they get it?
They like having pleasure while riding horses.
Oh, so that's what it's about. So it's nothing. It's not like one big costume that all four guys fit into.
No, it's like some weird sex fetish they get off on riding horses.
Wow. And they play music, and that's what we're about to listen to right now?
Yeah.
And what are we listening for, man? Who do they sound like? I mean, is there... Honestly, I listened to the track beforehand. I actually kind of enjoy this band. Out of like a lot of the tracks that you've played, I think this is at least a little, like I said, it's a little bit different, but just a good sound. I love the guy's voice.
It's some rock and roll.
Well, all right. Well, let's give it a listen here. We got Pleasure Horse with The Devil in Disguise.
It's gonna cost you, baby. Gotta dial into
That was
There we
rocking,
are.
dude. That was a rocking and a rolling.
Matthew Shukins killing it. Lead vocals, guitarist. We have Trevor Weigard playing the pianos, the vocals, Seville Lesker on the bass, Kevin Allen on the
Handsome boy
drums.
Kevin Allen on the drums.
Look at this guy, knowing people. So tell me, how do you know Pleasure Horse?
Oh man, me and Matt go way back. It was back when I was a junkie living in LA, and I ended up meeting him.
A junkie in L.A.?
Yeah, dude, I was a junkie in LA, and I just walking down the streets, and I meet this kid Matt Shukin. Started talking about music, and he shows me his band, and we've been buddies ever since.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a really great voice, and the one thing, obviously, I like more of the quote unquote lo-fi stuff.
Yeah,
where it's a little bit more raw, but it seemed like a really fine tuned, pretty album here. What do you think, Keith? How did you feel right now about Pleasure Horse? Did you enjoy that song?
That was fantastic.
Yeah,
That's the
I
kind
gotta
of
say,
thing I
man.
could get behind.
yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
dude, a little side anecdote. I got into a fight with my dad today, and the entire
Uh-oh.
time we're throwing punches, that song was playing in my head.
Is that right? So why
That's,
were you throwing
that's the
punches with
truth.
your dad?
What?
Why were you throwing bows with your old man?
Old man came home drunk, had to put him in place.
Wow, Cody, you're that guy right now.
What?
I said you're that guy right now.
I'm that guy, drinking the Lord, fighting my dad.
Oh, that's wonderful. So is that what your Spotify songs are about this week? And
No,
Francois
no,
Vancouver?
man. I have a rant about this Spotify. So the new Kendrick Lamar album came out, and it's good. It's really good, dude. It's good.
Who?
But
Who?
people are proclaiming it to be the most important album in hip hop in the past 20 years, and it's not. It's good, dude. It's really good, but it's not that good. So I put on one track from that new album, but I also put on a lot of other new hip hop songs that came out that are a lot better.
So why is it not that good? What makes these other songs that much better than what's his name?
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. What is so awful about his new album?
They're saying he recreated hip hop, but he's still using the same tropes that's been in hip hop for the past 15, 20 years, very blatant misogyny, really gotta get my guns, gotta get women, money, drugs, and where we're moving in hip hop now is indie hip hop, that's not needed. There's no reason that rap has to be about killing and about getting women and money. Hip hop could go in so many new different directions, and it's a good album. But he what?
You're making a phenomenal point, dude.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I mean, so tell me a little bit more about this indie hip hop, indie rap. Is this some of the stuff that we're gonna hear on Spotify?
Yeah, man. I put Gambino on there. I put Tyler, the Creator, on there. Tyler does rap about that stuff, but he's doing it ironically to make a point. And that's really important, to use those tropes that have been so prevalent in hip hop to say this is it, but we should move away from this. Because it does lead down a really bad path. All the huge hip hop labels now are owned by old white dudes who are perpetuating the stereotype, and it sucks. It sucks so much.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, Cody. No, that's great, man. No, I'm glad to hear. And see, that's the reason why we have you doing the Spotify list, because that's normally I wouldn't be listening to those things, but I'm going to end up listening to it. I haven't listened to it today, but I'm going to listen to it tomorrow. That's usually what I do. I usually follow up our show and kind of get a taste of it after the fact. But no, that's amazing, Cody. So we can find your Spotify list at Francois Vancouver on Spotify. And right now you're on Facebook as Gas Station Flannel, correct?
Yep. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Have you purchased any recent gas station flannels or no?
Man, I've been looking, but it's hard to find them. When you do find a gas station flannel, you got to pick it up because they're hard to find.
Man, you're the best. Well, thank you so much, Cody. I appreciate it. Again, Cody Vancouver. You can find him on Facebook at Gas Station Flannel. Otherwise,
Hey,
find
but-
him on Spotify at Francois Vancura. And you got something else, Cody? What do you got for us?
Yeah,
buddy?
before I go, you want to talk about Lollapalooza?
You know what? Yeah, let's hear a little bit about Lollapalooza. 'Cause I'm pretty jacked that I bought. Well, I shouldn't say that I bought. I was fortunate enough to have an amazing girlfriend, okay, who purchased Robert Plant and Pixies tickets
That's
for me
tight,
this summer.
dude.
I'm pretty sure that just straight up kills Lollapalooza.
Yeah, man. Have you seen the lineup? Because it's bad.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of it. Florence and the Machine and Paul McCartney and
yeah,
Metallica. I've seen Paul
as we were
McCartney.
talking about earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
saw
don't
Paul
know.
McCartney in his older age, and not a bad show. I mean, even though he is older, is still able to go out there and perform. Has a great band behind him. And Florence and the Machine, that's just a lot of vocal masturbation where she's just out there just singing. Basically, the band stops playing at several points during the show just so she can go out there and yodel. And I'm sure it's all wonderful and very transient. Transient, is that a word? I don't know. Very trancy stuff. But I don't know. What's your take on all this, Cody?
The only artist I was really excited that's playing is FKA Twigs, and I might shell out the money just to go see her play. She's wonderful.
You better not. It's a lot of money to be forking up for one artist.
Yeah, but I mean, she's so worth it. Have you listened to any of her stuff?
I am unfamiliar, sir. You should throw them on Spotify.
I will next week.
You got it, man. Well, and so, I mean, what, you're upset with Metallica?
No, I'm not upset with Metallica. I just think they're a little weird to be playing when they haven't put out an album in 6-7 years.
Isn't that kind of what it's about, though? I mean, I feel like we kind of got gypped because Robert Plant ended up playing, I think it was Argentina, is where they had a Lollapalooza out there, and it was Jack White and Robert Plant apparently put on.
Yeah, I saw that video.
That
It was
great.
incredible.
Yeah, he looks like the face that you would find in those, the lawn gnome where it's like a tree, but it has a face in it. I feel like that should be Robert Plant's face. That's in all
like a
those.
very sexy yard gnome.
Well, again, we have Francois Vancura, Gas Station Flannel. That's our man. Facebook, Spotify. You can find him there. Cody, thank you so much for coming on, my man.
Hey,
You're the
thanks,
best.
dudes. All right.
All right. Be good.
Get Wilson, Bob.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's Cody Vancura. That's our guy, man. He always has something good to bring to the table. And so, this is the Johnny Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio. You can find us on Spreaker apps, on iTunes, all over the place. Give us a call. We're about to wrap the show up. 585-633-7487 on Late Night Sports Radio.
So much to say in such a short time. It's hard to pick the 4 lines to wrap it in the packages delivered at your door. Of course things have changed, no matter how hard you grip the detail. But I'ma keep it major, so that the bigger picture prevails. Brian got jumped, so now you're smoking again. Quit quitting when the anger turned into the new depression. And Molly's up in college, kinda hard to believe. And mom and pops are doing great, you see him every 2 weeks. You're still with Susie, living a 1-bedroom in Brooklyn. You do the cleaning while she does the cooking. You got a dog and a cat to a whole little family that makes home something fun that you can come back to. And the crew's thinned out a bit, not from lack of love, but you've always talked the big one, now it's time to back it up. So here we are, a quarter century's test, and for the first time in your life, you can say you did your best now.
You never
Found what you lost, well, bouncing through bars. Take a deep breath of the paint, the smog, the clouds and exhaust. So keep the chain swinging, bad against your palm. Take the road less compatible, then cram it in a song. Cause they're not gonna pay. Stay rocking pockets of change, but know when to call the game. Cause bathroom floors are all the same, and it ain't glamorous to play the saint, the sinner, and the Lazarus. Sometimes leave that passion in the kitchen drawer where the matches is. Your friends will die and take their lives and overdose. And when you see a dysfunctional family once a year, just hold them close. Cause you're a fighter, at least you still say that in your head. And yes, sentence, you guessed it, you're too stressed to pay the rent. But it's all peace, you packed up your girl and moved out east. And every day you either write or work on 4 hours of sleep. You've been all over the country making music with your friends. So keep doing what you're doing, cause I do it all again.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Johnny Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio. Find us on Facebook at Johnny Bobbo Show. Otherwise, tweet at us at Johnny Bobbo Show or otherwise at LN Sports Radio. And you're going to want to hear every word that we say, okay? They might not be all that important. However, right now, we're going to talk a little bit about this NCAA tournament. Bob was talking something. Keith, you and Bob last week were saying that I came on the radio and I was talking like I didn't know what I was talking about when it came down to basketball. I think you're kind of crazy, man. I know quite a bit about NCAA basketball.
Well, you lose credibility when you misname the coach of the most successful college hoops franchise of the recent decade.
Oh, come on. Mr. Calipari knows absolutely what's going on in Kentucky right now.
Well, I know he does, but you said Shaka Smart was coaching at Kentucky.
No, not Shaka. I'm telling you. You guys. No, you must have absolutely the wrong idea of whoever was on your show, whoever called, okay? Like
nobody
all I
calls,
remember was
you know
talking
that.
baseball with you guys a couple weeks ago. It had nothing to do with basketball.
Bob drove the conversation to basketball, and then you started talking, and you like missed two coaches. Like you got that one wrong, and you got something else.
Yeah, see, you don't even know because it didn't happen.
Because
this is like
wanted-
a shared dream. You guys are on like the same page. You're so connected. I know you guys have the same cycle and everything, but
because as a producer, I smashed my forehead into my keyboard. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Oh God, and we love you, Keith. And right now, Kentucky, man, they're just laying it down on West Virginia, 74-36. Okay, Kentucky, man, what's happening there? I mean, is Notre Dame? Are they going to give them, a run for their money right now? A really tight game, right at halftime here between Xavier and Arizona, 40-38. Wisconsin, I got to say, out of all the teams, Wisconsin probably gives them a pretty good fight. I'm going to go with Gonzaga, because I mean, obviously they're on the flip side, but it's only because I love the Sabonis blood, that Lithuanian blood that'll win you championships. But with Wisconsin now, I mean, you got Frank Kaminsky doing all sorts of things. I feel like they have a pretty good offense. Obviously, just to being able to defend that swing's got to be tough. I mean, do you think Wisconsin? Do you think Kentucky can keep up with that swing offense?
Let's not forget, it's not a given that and right now Xavier is leading Arizona in the second half. But if Arizona wins that game, it's not a given that Wisconsin's going to beat Arizona to get to the Final Four.
And why do you say that?
Arizona plays good enough defense. The problem is that they don't score all that much, enough anyway, when it counts. They've had a history of disappearing in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So,
well, not only that, they depend so much on the three.
Sorry, what's that?
I said they depend so much on the three ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like, I don't know. It works in the college game, but I feel like when it really comes down to it, you see coaches like Tom Izzo, where there was a great piece. I always talk about Tom Izzo in Michigan State only because we went to the same college, no big deal. And it's the same school. Steve Mariucci, they're actually really tight. And that was one of the things that Izzo was saying was that, one of the things he learned from football was the constant adjustments, and that's always kind of, I think that's a great sign of an excellent, NFL coach is being able to come out in the second half, having adjusted your game plan. And, I feel like that's something, that Izzo's been, has done so well with Michigan is where, he doesn't just go out there and roll out his scheme. He'll roll it out there for a minute, see how things kind of play out. But, he does make those adjustments, and he works with his coaches, and he works with all these other guys that are able to relay the message and kind of keep the team all on the same page. Because obviously it's one thing, to go through and, adjust your game plan. It's another for the players, to go through and follow through with that. And I think that's something he's been really great at doing. And I don't know. I just feel like when it really comes down to it, I think Wisconsin, has the guys in place where, they might be able to, surmount, something like that where that offense, yeah, sure, you might live and die by it, but I feel like they do make enough adjustments to the point where, they can come out on top in a game like that.
Well, if you look at Michigan State's by the numbers, they are less than stellar in every category, pretty much. I mean, they're in the upper echelon. I gotta remember, there's so many basketball programs, but they're 36th in rebounds, but they're 4th in assists. Now, when you're ranked that high in assists, just to kind of state the obvious here, it's a team basketball concept. You're moving the ball. You're not afraid to make the extra pass. And like you said, it all stems back to Izzo and good coaching. And I'm not the first person to say this, but his teams do well in the tournament for a reason. They may not have the most stellar regular season record or anything like that. I mean, 25-11 is nothing to shout, nothing to sniff at. But they seem to be more year after year a team that's built for the tournament that can go down and make deep runs and maybe not get to the Final Four every year, but definitely come close.
Yeah, you got it. And I mean, when you think about that and those adjustments and being built for the tournament like this, I think a lot of what Izzo does, obviously making those adjustments, but he's also, during the course of the season, people always say, oh yeah, it's, the Michigan State, the Tom Izzo magic. I think a lot of it's just kind of knowing how to pace your players, and kind of over the course of a season. And, just making sure they understand the fundamentals of, how you're trying to coach and how they need to respond. And, that's kind of where that comes through. And I think you see a lot of that in Mike Krzyzewski. That's why these Duke teams are always there is, simply because, yeah, sure, they have great players. Obviously that's pretty much always, the case when you have such a great program like that. But, I feel like, again, he's one of those guys where he's paying attention to things like that where, sure, his teams, have some weaknesses. Like right now, they're a pretty small team. Their interior defense isn't really all that great, but they find ways to kind of come around it and, and still win ball games.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with anything you said there.
Yeah, and what do you disagree about this? We want to talk about bad guys because Mike Krzyzewski. We kind of get into what a great coach he is, but things got kind of ugly here in Duke, and they kind of decide to kind of cover up some things he doesn't want to talk about. Ended up they cut the one ball player off the club because of some sexual assault issues, this and that. Lance Armstrong, okay. Did you hear what Lance Armstrong's about to do right now?
No, I can't wait to hear.
Okay. So, on the bad guy note, Lance Armstrong, okay? Ended up getting the DUI not too long ago, smashed into a couple cars, no big deal. Okay, well, apparently there is a charity that's going to be out there supporting him to ride a portion of the Tour de France, okay, the day before the Tour de France. And, having been banned from such such of an event, they kind of, disapprove of him showing up and riding that. How do you feel about Lance Armstrong riding the Tour de France, at least part of the course the day before the event?
I think you should head over to 87sportsfans.com and click on the shop link, and we have a Cheat Strong t-shirt for everyone that you can purchase.
You can cheat so strong. I just can't
strong.
believe this guy
Cheat
just
strong.
won't go away.
Oh, it's a money grab. That's all it is. He's got bills to pay, and I'm sure he's getting sued left and right by everybody. So,
and honestly, I'm not even going to bother to give the charity, any publicity whatsoever. But I got to tell you this: that is a dirty move for a charity to make. Because I'm a guy. I work with I'm in a couple different groups where we do we orchestrate a variety of different events where we raise a bunch of money, for whatever causes. Okay, and to see a charity like willfully do something like this with a notoriously bad guy, it just comes out bad on your end, right?
Agreed.
Got it. Well, we do stuff like that. You can find the show on iTunes. Okay, you can also find it on Late Night Sports Radio. This is the Johnny Bobbo Show. I'm John Maloris, and again, thank you to all the people that made this show rock tonight. Obviously, Bobbo wasn't here, so we really appreciate that. But on the other hand, again, Jim Serentius, you rock. That's the guy at the Fantasy Greek. You can find him at thefantasygreek.com. You can also follow him on Twitter at thefantasygreek. We're gonna be getting that project going on April 30th. Okay, for the NFL draft. Okay, that's gonna be at the Cubby Bear. You can do that. You can also follow our boy Cody Van Cura. Came out with Pleasure Horse tonight. What a great band. You can follow them on Facebook. You can also find Cody's playlist on Spotify with the account name Francois Vencura. And you can find us at Johnny Bobbo. You can also find us on Facebook at The Johnny Bobbo Show. Follow us on Late Night Sports Radio and also at Ellen Sports Radio. Thank you very much and be good.